What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Life After Lockup Season 5, Episode 50, Season Finale, Love is Sacrifice. I don't even know if this is going to be a review. This is just going to be my final thoughts on this season. This whole season sucked. I didn't like it. It left me very unhappy, very unsatisfied. Everybody upset me. I'm not rooting for anybody. I could care less if they stay together or break up. I really don't care. In the past, there has been like a couple, like one or two couples where I was kind of like rooting for them. But this season, I could care less. Everybody was aggravating the hell out of me. So let's talk about Tennie and Rob. I didn't know Rob was so whooped he is so whooped. I hate to say this, but he is like a simp for Tennie. I had no idea how bad it was. I understand that you got to make your wife a priority, but you're going to also still have to show some respect to your mother. Now, the whole thing with Rob and Tennie is that his family was not there for him when he was locked up. And Tennie was the only one that did the visits, that kept a communication with him, that was really there for him while he was behind bars ever since, they started dating or whatever. And his family was basically MIA, probably because his family being around him his whole life probably were just like sick and fed up with the way he was living his life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe his family, especially his mother, got tired of him running the streets and always getting into trouble. So when he finally got locked up for 12 or 16 years or however long it was, she was like, you know what? I'm through. I'm done. See you on the outside. And Tennie, to her relationship with Rob was brand new. Did she know him how long have they known each other? I don't know. But it's a different perspective coming from like the romantic partner of someone and the family member of someone who's really, really been through the trenches with the inmate. And so maybe when he went to prison, his mom was just fed up. I don't think that she did not love her son. I just think that maybe she was like, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with this. I don't know. I have no idea. But I just refuse to believe that his mom is this horrible, evil monster that Tennie wants to make her out to be. So Rob is in this tug of war between his mom and Tennie, and who is he going to show the most loyalty to? Who is he going to make a priority? And he basically is going to choose his wife, which is fine. That's his wife. He needs to choose his wife, right? I have no issue with that. But the thing that really aggravated me and the thing that makes me call him a simp is that when that fight happened, he didn't know what the hell was going on. So why do you automatically believe one over the other? Why not just tell both women, look, I didn't see what was going on. I was just trying to keep y'all separated and keep y'all from tearing each other's eyes out. I don't know who threw the first whatever. I don't know what was going on. I was just trying to keep y'all apart. I would have more respect for him if he said that. But instead, the way that he told his mother, but mom, you started it. You put your hands on her first. I was aggravated because of the fact that he doesn't know who put their hands on who. He really doesn't know because he was in the middle of it. He was in the thick of it. He was getting knocked down over tables, over chairs. He was trying to keep his balance. He didn't know what the hell was going on. So for him just to automatically side with Tennie just showed me how much of a simp he was. You can't be on the side of lies. This is your wife, but you can't be on the side of lies. And Tennie knew that she put her hands on that woman's face first. But anyway, like I said, we can't rehash history. So that right there kind of like, I was like, you know what? I'm through with these people. These people are very, very exhausting. So Tennie, when she was at work, she was watching on her security home camera thing that she was watching the whole entire time that his mom was there talking to him at their house. Tennie was watching all of this, and she was really pissed off because she's like, this woman attacked me, according to her, and she's at my house around my kids, and Rob is allowing this. So she left to go back home. She left for her lunch early just so she can run back home and confront her husband about him having his mother at their house and around her kids. But I'm thinking, Tennie, why couldn't you wait until you got off work to deal with this? Why are you trying to rush during your lunch hour to confront your husband about this? What could you possibly get accomplished? So it's almost as if she feels threatened by her mother-in-law, and she's worried that Rob is going to start siding with his mother, he's going to start seeing things from his mother's perspective or something. So she rushes home. She confronts him. Why do you have your mom at my house? Why didn't you tell me? You didn't have my permission to bring her, to have her at my house. And Rob, the true simp that he is, he was just like, well, I didn't even think she was going to come over. So they go back and forth on that. And she finally says, you know what? She's your blood. Your mom is your blood, and you don't even get along with her. So until you get things right with your mom, your own blood, once you fix that relationship, then I will consider, we can talk about your mom coming over to the house. So he's like, okay, bet, I got you. Um, and I think that was basically it. I don't know what else to say about these people. So at the end of it all, it said that Rob and Teenie have not spoken to Kate since the filming ended. He did reconcile with his mom on this episode. Him and his mom talked about it, and they were like, you know what, let's just let bygones be bygones and start over. But it didn't last long because they hadn't spoken since. And I think it's because the mom probably went back and watched it, and she was probably like, you know what, I can't believe my own son, would believe his wife over me when it came to that fight. And because it's so clear that Teenie started everything. She started the argument. She started the physical altercation. So I think that probably pissed her off even more. And I think when Teenie and Rob ran back and saw that, they probably were like, oh, damn, maybe, yeah, it didn't actually play out the way that we thought it did. And they probably felt too ashamed to reach out to the mother and, give her an apology, which she's owed that. And as far as him making Teenie a priority over his family because his mom was really upset about the fact that the whole time that he was in prison, and even after he got out of prison, Rob was still putting Teenie above his own family. Now, I do believe that when two people get married, they have to be each other's priority. Your parents have to take a back seat. Your siblings have to take a back seat. The only exception is the children. So he cannot, and I don't know what Rob is doing with his own kids or what kind of relationship he has with his own children, but Rob cannot make his own children secondary to Teenie and her kids. He needs to make sure that his kids are good, that they're taken care of, that he's maintaining that relationship with them, and then he can, go ahead and prioritize Teenie and her kids. So maybe the mom is upset about that, but the mom, Miss Kate, you cannot sit here and think that your son has to make you a priority over his wife. That's just not going to happen. You're going to have to take a back seat to the wife. And I know that Teenie's got issues, and I know that, she thinks that she's not a thug when she really is a thug. But you're going to have to take a back seat to Teenie. Rob, you're going to have to prioritize your children. Okay, make sure your children are good. We didn't see these kids. We don't know what's going on between Rob and his own kids. So I really don't know. I don't know if they're grown. I don't know if they're little kids or what. But if he still has minor children, he needs to make sure that they're good. So that's Teenie and Rob. Moving on to Bianca and Daniel. So Daniel and Bianca go to a place called the Japanese Friendship Garden. It's a really beautiful garden. It was really nice. Unfortunately, they couldn't enjoy it because they love to talk about their toxic relationship. So they sit down and they're talking about their relationship. And Bianca's whole thing is, look, I'm willing to wait, but I need you to understand that what I'm waiting on is a ring and marriage. Okay. I'm not here to play around because she's so afraid that she's going to get stuck in this relationship and it's never going to end up in a marriage, that she will forever be the girlfriend. And so she doesn't want that to happen. And so that's why she's putting so much pressure on him. And I think that she shouldn't do that. Don't put no pressure on him to marry you, because if he wants to marry you, trust and believe he's going to marry you. Um, and if it's not going the way you plan on it going, and if he's taking forever to get to that stage, then Bianca, you can still bounce. You can still leave. You can still walk away from this and be with somebody who's more aligned to the way that you want your life to be. Anywho, so they're sitting at the bench and they're talking about their damn relationship. And she's talking about how, I just want you to know that I'm waiting for marriage. I'm waiting for a proposal, a ring, the whole shebang. So he pulls out the ring that he had bought her. And he says, this is the first thing out of his mouth is, this is not an engagement ring. This is not a proposal. Okay, this is not an engagement ring. This is not a proposal. This is just me showing my commitment to you. Because she said something about, well, can I at least have a ring to symbolize how we're committed to each other? That's when he pulled out the ring and he told her, it's not what you think. This is just a promise ring. And she said, a promise to a proposal? And he's like, no, this is a promise and I'm going to be here with you, that I am committed to you. That's it. In fact, I'm not even going to put it on your left hand. I'm going to put it on your right hand. So Bianca was upset. She was grumpy. She was pouting. She didn't like that at all. She accepted the ring. She put it on her finger. It didn't fit on her ring finger. It fit on her middle finger. And, but she wasn't happy at all because it had nothing to do with a proposal or marriage or engagement. It was just a promise to commit to her. So Daniel tells us in his confessional that Bianca does not love herself and that she doesn't know what love is, but yet you still want to be with her. So they get in the car and she's talking, she's like, oh, I don't want to do this. She doesn't want to film. Oh, I don't want to do this. And she's like on the verge of tears. We can't really see them through the window, but we can definitely hear them. She's really upset. The fact that this is just a promise ring. She doesn't like the ring itself because I think she even called it a dollar store ring. She doesn't like the ring itself. And there's nothing about, well, anyways, she doesn't like the ring. She doesn't like the intent behind the ring. This is not what she wanted at all. But in her confessional, she tells us, what am I going to do? Leave him? Break up with him? No, I'm going to stay with him. Okay, fine. Stay in your toxicity. Stay in your misery. That's fine. Because I think the majority of relationships in the world are based off of toxicity and misery. I don't know why. People want to be in a situation that they're not happy in. Bianca kept talking about during the season, she would talk about how her life was so much better in Florida. All her friends were there. She missed her friends. So go back to Florida, girl. I mean, if this man isn't giving you what you are wanting, go back to Florida and be happy. You're a happy single than you were in this relationship with Daniel. And Daniel, you're talking about how she doesn't know what love is and she doesn't love herself, which makes me say, if she doesn't know what love is and she doesn't love herself, then she can never love you. But you want to stay in this too. So y'all can stay in y'all's toxicity and y'all's misery and y'all's dollar store rings. And we are done with y'all. Let's move on to Justine and Michael. So Justine's mom and her grandmother, they arrive in Las Vegas, and this is the day of the party for Manhattan, the birthday party for Manhattan. They had to move the party up because she's gonna be giving birth earlier than expected because of her high risk situation. So Manhattan's birthday party was moved up because after she has the baby, she's not going to be in any kind of condition to plan a party. So she's having a conversation with her mother, and her mother is like, okay, Justine, exactly what is your high risk situation? And Justine says something about how because she just had a baby, the doctors were worried that her C-section scar probably would rip and her baby would just go right through her uterus or something like that. And also the possibility during the C-section, the operation itself, she could hemorrhage to death. So they talk about that, and then Justine tells her mom, the doctor even told me that I had to make out a will. So I went ahead and I did that. And I think her mother asked her who's going to take care. So what are you going to do with the children? And she said that it was going to be Michael and her daughter Kylie that were going to look after the kids. And her mother said, well, as long as it doesn't interfere with Kylie's education. And Justine said, she said something to the effect of, oh, we don't care about that. The kids are going to be her priority, not, her science class. And the grandmother, her mother, was like, no, ma'am, her education will always be a priority. And Justine says, well, me and Kylie talked about it. And yeah, her education is basically going to have to take a back seat to her raising my kids if anything happens to me. Basically, that's what it is. If she has any plans on going to school and, well, she is in school, but if she has any plans of finishing school and making anything of herself, all of that's going to be pushed to the side if Justine ends up passing away because now she's going to have to be mommy to her siblings. So the grandmother did not like that. Justine's mom did not like that at all. And I did not like that because this is not like all of a sudden she was stricken with cancer. She has a terminal illness. Her days are numbered. Of course, then I can understand her wanting Kylie to step up. That I can totally get. And I totally understand that if Kylie had to put her education to the side because her mom died from a terminal illness and now she has to make sure that her siblings are good. But this is something that Justine chose to do when she was told by medical professionals to not do this, that this was going to be high risk for her and that she needed to wait and slow down. But she went ahead and did it anyways. And the mother also said that after they had Manhattan, Michael had promised Justine's mother that he was going to get a vasectomy. And then, like a couple of months after that, Justine ended up pregnant. And so the mom was like, he basically lied. And so now this time, thank God. So anyway, so they build up all this drama about Justine's health and the possibility of Justine dying. But they go to the hospital. Everybody's at the hospital with them. All 9 kids, plus both of the moms are all there. She has the baby. She's fine. The baby's fine. And Justine says that her scar tissue wasn't even compromised. Her uterus wasn't even compromised by her scar tissue. Her scar tissue was intact. Everything was fine. So I'm thinking like maybe the show just built up all of this drama just to justify why we're still watching Justine and Michael. She has a baby. The baby's fine. They name him Million. And then they also take out her tubes. Um, that's basically it. The baby was beautiful. Everybody was happy. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing great. So at the end of it all, it said that Maria, who is Michael's mother, she is still living with Justine and Michael in Las Vegas. And Justine and Michael released their very first duet. So y'all go. They played a little bit of it on the show, and I was just like, okay. Moving on to Zeruiah and Troy. So remember, Troy and Zeruiah were at the park to meet Yana. So Yana shows up, but she didn't have little Troy with her, which is Troy's daughter. And I don't know why she was there. I don't know why she came all the way from Buffalo to Syracuse just to have a conversation with Troy at the park. Like, I didn't understand. Or was she supposed to come with her daughter but didn't? So anyway, they meet at the park with Yana, and Troy's like, "Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?" And so he goes to her car because he's thinking that maybe she's got the kid in the car, but the child is not there at all. She didn't bring the child at all. So they finally have a conversation about what they're going to do, and Yana tells Troy, "I will not allow my daughter to come to Syracuse ever again because you messed up. I don't trust you. I don't trust your wife. I don't like how y'all are moving. So no, my daughter will never come back. If you want to see your daughter, you're going to have to come to Buffalo." But then at the end of it, it said that Yana did change her mind and she allows her daughter now to come to Syracuse. Now, Yana, if you saw what we saw, and I know you did because people are talking about it all over online. If you saw what we saw, where this woman told your child's father to not come pick up, not go pick up his kid from the train station, I don't see how you can let your daughter go there. I don't see how you could do that. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I would not let my child go to someone's house who would not allow their father to come pick him up from the train station. But Troy and Zeruiah, they also live in their own delusional little world. Troy is all over the internet, defending Zeruiah. And also they're also are planning a real wedding. They're gonna have a real wedding. And then also in this episode, there was a scene where Zeruiah was telling Troy, because they're talking about how they're gonna be together forever and how much they really love each other. And she goes, just as long as you don't look at other women, you don't touch other women, you don't talk to other women, da, da, da. And I'm like, girl, you cheated on him. You're the one that has a problem keeping your hands off of other men. We haven't seen him do nothing yet. You cheated on him, but you're going to dictate him talking about how he needs to keep his eyes off of other women, keep his hands off of other women. You couldn't keep nothing off of other men. I was confused. Moving on to Melissa and Louie. They're still arguing about the damn ring. So Louie is telling Melissa, I go to work, I try to apply for jobs and they keep rejecting me when they know about my background. The world keeps throwing my background back in my face. I'm trying to be a better man. I'm trying to make changes in my life. I've done good and I'm trying to keep, put the past behind me, leave that, in the past. I'm a different Louie. I'm a better Louie. I can understand the world using my past against me. What I don't understand is you using my past against me by, trying to imply that I got this ring through nefarious methods or nefarious means. I don't get that. And so she's like, oh, but Louie, it's not like that. Louie, it's not like, it's exactly like that, Melissa. It's exactly like that. You're trying to imply because the jeweler, which ain't got nothing to do with Louie, because the jewelry store that he bought it from did not put a stamp on the ring. What does that have to do with Louie? What does that have to do with Louie? He had all the paperwork to show that he bought it from a legit jewelry store. So the fact that they didn't stamp it, what does that have to do with them? Do you think he was in cahoots with the jewelry store to not stamp the ring? Like, girl, what are you trying to say? It doesn't make any sense. So I felt like Louie was 100% right by telling her it's one thing when everybody out there uses my past against me, but it's something else when the woman that I want to marry is trying to still make me out to be the guy that I used to be. And I'm not that person anymore. And she can't even acknowledge and realize what he's done so far since he's been out of prison. But they're still together. And he's studying to be a realtor so he can pay for her destination wedding that she really wants. Britney and Kerok. Okay, so Britney has come to the end of her travel pass, and it's time for her to go back to Virginia. And she's talking to her best friend on FaceTime, and her friend is like, yeah, girl, when you come back to Virginia, we're gonna live it up, we're gonna go clubbing, we're gonna be doing this and that. And all of this is in front of Kerok. And so Kerok is like, I can't believe that you're gonna try to influence, Britney to be, doing all these crazy things when she goes back to Virginia. But anywho, so Britney and Kerok, they both are very jealous of one another. So she put a tracking thing on his phone to track his whereabouts, and she's going to put the same tracking thing on her phone so that he can track her whereabouts. They're very jealous of one another. I don't know why people want to live like this. I don't understand. Life is stressful enough. There's enough going on in life to stress you the hell out. I don't know why you want to be with people that you got to track, you got to look into their phones, you got to follow them. I just don't get it. I don't have no time for that. I can only people I'm trying to track are my kids when they're not in my eyesight. I'm not tracking a grown person. That's not happening. So it's the day of her departure for her to go back to Virginia. So she's getting ready, of course, running late as always. And K Rock's mom comes over. And K Rock's mom tells Brittany, well, if you can't come back to Texas because they're going to deny you traveling to Texas, if they're going to deny you traveling to Texas, then don't worry. We're all going to pack up and we're going to go back to Virginia. And K Rock was like, the hell I am. I ain't going back to Virginia. So he says that I cannot up and leave Texas to go back to Virginia if she can't come back down here because I'm trying to establish my credit. So I can't break another lease. I'm trying to, get my career going. I think he has a job. And yeah, he does. He had a job in Texas. Like, I can't just leave my job. I've got responsibilities and I'm trying to fix things in my life. So no, I cannot just up and leave and go back to Virginia, which makes sense to me. And in his confessional, K-Rock says this is all Britney's fault. The fact that she cannot stay in Texas is all her fault because she did not want to pay her restitution. She didn't want to have steady income and pay off her restitution. She wanted to spend her money on her hair, her nails, and whatnot. She didn't want to take care of business. And I can't, tear my life apart to go follow her all over the place because she can't get it together. But guess what, y'all? They tell us that at the end of filming, K Rock moved back to Virginia. And because her transfer to Texas was denied again, but she started selling makeup to pay for her restitution. You're gonna have to sell a whole lot of makeup, a whole lot of lip gloss to pay off that $10,000 restitution. So I don't know what happened to the apartment. I don't know what happened to K Rock's job in Houston, but I don't understand. Somebody explain to me, why didn't they just wait until they both had the green light to move to Texas? Stay in Virginia, do what you got to do in Virginia until she got her approval, until she paid off her restitution to move to Texas. Like, I didn't understand that. So y'all pack up everything, move to Texas, then in 30 days or whatever, you got to go right back to Virginia. And you got an apartment in Texas and you got a job in Texas. And now you have to leave all of that behind to go back to Virginia because y'all couldn't be patient enough either to wait for her to pay for her restitution or wait for her to, I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing to me was just dumb. They should have just stayed in Virginia, got a job in Virginia, got their own place in Virginia, and then she slowly starts paying off her restitution before y'all leave to go live somewhere else. So they're back in Virginia. Joey and Kimberly. So they get the DNA results to see if Joey is the father of Kimberly's oldest son, Kason. And the results say that he is not the father, which I'm thinking that's a good thing for Kimberly, right? Because she's getting a ton of child support from her ex to take care of two kids. If it was deemed that he was not that he was the father, then she would have to pay that money back, right? And then her income, her child support income, would have been reduced. So I think deep down inside she was happy, so that her ex-husband can still bankroll her life. So Joey's not the father of Kason. She calls and she tells him that, and he's like, oh, okay, that's cool, that's fine, but he's always going to be my son. But one thing I want to know, so his father, Kason's biological father, excuse me, is paying all of this money but not having a relationship with his child. Basically, at the end of it all, they tell us that Kimberly officially divorced her ex, and Joey came out of rehab and he is back home. And like I said, they are still together. From what I saw on TikTok, they are still together. And Kimberly lost a lot of weight. A lot of weight. She is thin. She lost a lot of weight. So, yeah, they're still together. They're still going strong. I think everybody basically is still together. But I wasn't satisfied with this season at all. I really didn't care for any of these people. And I'm glad that it's over. I don't know if I mentioned this. I will be watching Love during lockup, but I will not be reviewing it because I reviewed it last time and I just felt so silly talking about a show or reviewing a show where most of the communication is taking place over the phone because the other person is still incarcerated. So they can only talk by phone or by video chat. And I was just like, this is dumb. I can't do this again. But I will definitely come back for Love After Lockup, and I will definitely come back for Life After Lockup as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for spending time with me and tuning into all of my videos regarding Life After Lockup. I do appreciate it, whether you watched one, half of one, or you watched all of them in full. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your time with me. On your way out, please do not forget to rate the video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.